Mary had a little lamb.
We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
The sun low in the sky over Los Angeles, reflecting a new reality for this city. Shining through the heavy smoke as some of the most destructive wildfires in the history of Los Angeles rage on tonight. The devastation for miles. At one point, 6 major fires burning at once, firefighters racing to contain them. The first and largest fire, the Palisades fire, and the horror it has now left behind. You could hear the crackling of the flames, the gusting winds, the fire devouring homes, garages, businesses, collapsing to the ground. Tonight, a first look here, a staggering scope of devastation. Home after home, street after street, burned to the ground. There is nothing left in so many of these neighborhoods. Across the Los Angeles area, at least 5 lives lost, nearly 180,000 under evacuation orders, more than 200,000 still without power tonight, and more than 45 square miles burned.
Okay, 10 now. The story moves so fast, it's unbelievable. So there are 10 people who lost their lives. And when you look at the aerial, I don't know why, but the aerial view of that made me choke up. I mean, I was sitting in front of my computer watching, the ABC report, David Muir there, and I just burst into tears because, it's so unbelievable what has happened. The loss of everything that was important to people who lived in that very sprawling area that's been torched. That's been literally torched by 90-mile-an-hour winds and fires and embers traveling 2 miles down the road. And then combine that with the disinformation, misinformation, the ugliness, the thugliness that is passing for information on the social media platforms in this here country, that's being imbibed, that's being absorbed, that's being taken as true by idiots, by morons, by people like Elon Musk. I thought he was an engineer. I thought everybody said he's so brilliant. He's so freaking smart. I said he's got a trick. He does. He has one trick, and the trick is that he absolutely positively knows how to get government money. He knows how to get subsidies and grants. He knows how to talk a great game about what he wants to do, what he can do, what he can, this kind of thing. Okay, meanwhile, his cars are exploding. The driverless cars are, they're just wretched, right? But he claims to be this great, great engineer, and yet he is repeating and retweeting the idea that L.A. ran out of water. What? I mean, I tried to explain it very simply yesterday, and the idea that fighting fire with a hydrant and a fire truck isn't going to work when you have multiple fires of this nature that are being propelled and are being spread, let's say, by embers that are being carried on 90-mile-an-hour winds miles away and then igniting over there. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when you have, okay, I'll make it real simple. Okay, this is my gift to mankind is that I can do that. To fight a lot of fires, you need more water than fires. See? And when you're fighting an urban fire, when you're fighting in Los Angeles, when you're fighting a fire in a populated area, a densely populated area, you need to have a lot of water and aerial resources to retard the spread of the fire. But then you cannot get the air resources to do anything meaningful if you have 90-mile-an-hour plus winds. Why can't people understand that? And Elon Musk is like literally, he's saying that this is all a result of wait for it. Of course, there has to be like some sort of hatred involved in what they're doing. Because if there's no hatred, then there's no, person upon person, debilitating arguments happening in the middle of a disaster. So you need something that is simple, and you need to push it out there and make it as hateful as humanly possible. And that's what Trump and Elon Musk are very good at. And so they're saying that DEI, yes, diversity, equality, and inclusiveness, is what caused the fires and what made the fires unable to be knocked out. And people are going, yeah, DEI is DIE. And Elon Musk is going 100% and retweeting it to his millions and millions of moronic followers. So now people are suffering. People have lost everything. That aerial photo explains it all. It's a large neighborhood. It's a large city. Los Angeles is huge. And they think that fighting a fire that huge in an urban area is just going to require fire trucks and hydrants. Are you insane? And that the hydrants ran out of water. You all realize that hydrants don't have water. They don't carry water. They're like a faucet, okay, is what it is. They're a faucet. I mean, I don't understand what made us so stupid. I'm not really sure. I mean, when I heard Donald Trump sitting there talking to, idiot boy Joe Rogan, I realized, well, his brain is half rotted because, he smokes so much pot, drinks so much alcohol, like all day, every day, just all day high. And I don't know why people that do that think that they're going to be unaffected. I don't know why they think that their critical thinking skills or their ability to solve problems isn't going to be compromised in some way. But when they do that, I don't understand. But, here's what they want you to believe, okay? They want you to believe that Los Angeles is decimated because Karen Bass and Gavin Newsom decided to prioritize providing hot tubs to immigrant trans kids. Seriously, this is kind of where their brains are. And this is what Elon Musk wants you to think happened here. He doesn't want you to be able to sit there and say that building some sort of an aqueduct, okay, or some sort of a delivery system, because, Donald Trump has this thing. He's constantly telling you that they got all this water up in the mountains, right, up in Canada. They got all this water, and the water, you could have so much beautiful water. It's called rain, right? But he never describes like how you would store the rain or how you would move the rain from a giant aqueduct, a giant reservoir into LA. I mean, he never, because that would cost billions of dollars to do. Billions. I mean, I'm not saying it can't be done. It's just saying, and douchebags like Elon want to cut $2 trillion. They want to cut the money. They don't want to invest the money. And all of this is designed to make you not notice climate change. That is what all of this diversion about trans kids in hot tubs, getting priority in our in the state budget in California, or whatever it is. That is to just deflect you from solving the problem of climate change. And I have news for you. Climate change is just now starting to make people move from places that are uninhabitable, move from places that, have become scorched earth or are now underwater. I mean, if Donald Trump's such a freaking genius and Elon Musk is such a brilliant engineer, why don't they figure out that when, like Helene comes and it drowns North Carolina, Western North Carolina, why don't they figure out how to take the water as it's coming out of the sky, I guess, and put it in LA? Because this is what they're telling you is somehow not happening, but should happen and could happen and is possible. Rain can be moved around the country, is what they're trying to tell you. But instead of moving the rain around the country, they decided to prioritize, I don't know, Ukraine. Do you know what I'm saying? Like anything at all to make you not understand that climate change is real and it's now.
A things Randi at RandiRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
To be very frank with you, I think everyone is really trying to do their damn best, okay? And some idiot, the orange idiot, went on television, your fellow network, and claimed all kinds of things about Newsom and California and the water distribution, all nonsense, disinformation, period. There's a guy on your show that does fact-checking. I like him a lot. It's a breath of fresh air. Say hello to him. He's very, very good. And what some of these characters are now disseminating on one particular network and on some podcasts is outrageous and very damaging to our nation. This is a great nation. Trust me. I know whereof I speak. I come from a nation that believed in fascist ideology for a while. Okay? And we certainly will not want to go into that again, but we are close to it. Because people want to simplify complex problems. The essence of fascism is to simplify complex problems and feed people who don't have time to read some bullshit.
Exactly. To feed people bullcrap, or basically to blame someone other. Right? I mean, that is what's going on here. It's so obvious to people who can think, who will think, who want to think, who do read, who understand complex situations, complex problems. You know, the idea that an urban fire hydrant, that a fire truck actually taps into to get to the water main line that's underneath, okay? That if you had, a block of fires, one whole block, let's say, the Bronx was on fire, okay? Or one whole block in LA was on fire. Half of Sunset Boulevard's on fire. That you could tap into a fire hydrant's, water source underneath all at the same time, and not see a decrease in water pressure is one thing. And then to realize that water needs to be pre-positioned at the top of hills. It needs to already be there in tanks, okay? People who know that there are tanks on top of buildings in New York know what I'm talking about, okay? People who live on the tops of mountains that know that there's a water tank at the top of their hill that may have 1 million gallons of water in it if a fire breaks out in a residential area in a hill. In hilly, terrain. I mean, why don't people understand? I don't know. But anyway, to re-engineer a urban system of fighting fire to now be an urban system that can fight wild fires, which are, fed by forests and fed by, wood, basically. To re-engineer the LA fire hydrant scheme into a system that could actually carry. Let me just tell you how much water there really was pre-positioned before this all broke out. Okay, on the top of these hills there are tanks full of water, and they each carry about 1 million gallons. Okay, some 3 million gallons. They went through those water tanks in hours. Because the fire was jumping from place to place to place to place. The embers flying on the wind, maybe a mile, maybe 2 miles. It's like whack-a-mole, okay? And what's really insulting is that people that we all, I won't say we all anymore, but that we all used to revere as some of the most brilliant engineering minds in the world are now saying they ran out of water. Why don't they have no water? Does Donald Trump is the incoming president of the United States of America, sat on Joe Rogan's podcast and said, why don't they have no water? I swear that was the exact quote. Why don't they have no water? Not making that up. And he said, then he pivots. He pivots into they don't have no water because they won't rake the forests. I swear, in the same exact sentence, in the same exact three seconds of conversation, moron talking to moron. And Joe Rogan and he says that they're not allowed to rake the farce. They're not allowed to rake the farce, he says. They're not allowed because they're not allowed to touch it. This is what he says. And Idiot Boy Rogan, who, has an audience of millions and millions, tens of millions of I'm going to guess, incels. I don't know why you would listen to that. But he sits there and he goes, well, at least rake the dead leaves that fall from the tree. And I did a spit take. I was like, oh, my God. Like, how stupid do you have to be now to get tens of millions of people to listen to you? Like, and would I compromise what I really know and just pretend that I'm a dumbass blonde? You know what I mean? Like, could I do that? Oh, hell no. Even Pamela Anderson wiped off her makeup and said, I need to be taken seriously now. We're in serious times. This is a serious situation. You know what I mean? Like, no, I won't do that. But they're doing that to you. They're doing it. And it's so sad. I mean, what do you think the cost to upgrade an urban fire truck hydrant? That's urban firefighting. Fire truck hooks into hydrant. Okay, what do you think it would cost to re-engineer the fire truck hydrant scheme into an urban wildfire fighting system in Los Angeles? I'm guessing, more than Doge wants to cut out of the budget. You know what I'm saying? Like hugely expensive. And then you have the situation with the hydrants where the hydrants seem to run out of water. Well, they're not really out of water. What's happening is the water pressure is so low that it can't pump the water from the main water line to the fire hose. And people just can't comprehend. They can't form the thought. And so yesterday I said, okay, if you don't understand what I'm saying, what you need to do is this. Turn on your dishwasher if you're lucky enough to have one. I think most people do. Turn on your dishwasher, and if you're very lucky, you have a washing machine in your unit or in your home. Turn both of those on and then get in the shower. Tell me how much water pressure is left. Okay. Now imagine with that water pressure hooking up a fire hose to your faucet, because that's what a hydrant is. It's a freaking faucet. Oh my God. How did we get this stupid? Now, the real issue, of course, is climate change. It's freaking January. This does not happen in January in Los Angeles. In fact, this never happened in Los Angeles, let alone in January. This is rainy season in Los Angeles. They got 1/10 of an inch of water in Los Angeles during the rainy season thus far. Yeah, but I mean, they were drowning in North Carolina. Why can't they take the rain from North Carolina and put... Call Elon. Ask him that question, okay? Ask him. But if you think immigration is an issue now, I want you to ask yourself 2 questions. Who's going to rebuild LA? Who do you think? That's right. Your immigrant friends. And number 2, how many more immigrants are we going to get when people can't live over there anymore? That's right.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
It's Friday. Oh, God, what a week. What a week. And it's like the first week of 2025. Hey, everybody, 2025. Woo! And Donald Trump today, he's actually now a sentenced, convicted felon. Yay, America. Yay. You did it. You got a criminal into the White House. I hope, nothing that he does is going to shock you. I hope nothing that he does is going to surprise, because he's a criminal, you see. And he's in charge of the entire government of the United States, the Department of Justice, and, the EPA, and all of it. The amount of garbage that is passing for information is so overwhelming. And it's only like day 5 of the new year for me. It's only day 5. I mean, I only worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 5 days. 5 days. That's all I did. Oh, my God. I'm going to stroke out live on the air. If I had a date certain when that would happen, Oh, 30 share. I mean, you're talking about Screw Joe Rogan's viewership. If I could tell you, I'm actually going to have a stroke on, I don't know, March 4th, whatever, at 3:05. Oh, my God, could I cash out? I could leave so much money to my family. But, with these things, you just, you never know. You never know. They're so random. But anyway, here's another debunk for you. This is unbelievable. Okay, so here's the fire department, which is run by a lesbian. Oh my God, a lesbian in the services. A lesbian in the service. Well, I better alert all of my, Air Force bunkmates, all of my Air Force, flight is what they call it in the Air Force. It's a squadron. And in the squadron, there are flights, right? And there are about 30, 40 people in a flight. I would say in my flight, there were like 30, I think there were 35 women. I'm going to say I was the only straight one. I mean, not quite. I'll say there were about 10 straight ones and, 20 lesbians. And in fact, when I've told this story so many times, but if you never heard it, it's fun. It's fun. I remember the day I came home from Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn. And I told my mother that I had, joined the military, that I had, signed up, that I had volunteered for the American services. I said I had joined the Air Force. I don't think she knew the difference. And to this day, okay, well, she's gone now. But when she passed, okay, I don't think she ever knew the difference between the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, or the Marines. I think she thinks they're all the same. It's just the military. And that's all she needed to know. You know why? Because people like me would join and we would protect her behind. Okay? But anyway, not important. I came home. I said, Mom, I joined the Air Force. She, without missing a beat, looked at me and said, are you a lesbian or a hooah? So I pointed to my sister. I go, well, she's the lesbian, so I must be the hooah. Hello. That's why Stephanie Miller calls me that. That's where it comes from. It's an origin story, everybody. An origin story. But anyway, so the fire chief in L.A., she's a lesbian, Alert the media. Wait, I am the media. I just alerted you. It's been going on a really stinking long time, and guess what? We won. We won lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of, wars with lesbians serving. Anyway, Jessica Tarlov, not sure if she's a lesbian or whore or any of the above, she wants you to understand that that is not the reason. That is not the reason why firefighters were not able to fight these fires successfully in winds above, let's just say, 90 miles an hour. Okay? I mean, you need to have, just so you know, you need to have the equipment in the air. Okay? Not only to survey and see what the fire is doing and where the fire is headed, but also to be able to drop fire retardant on a spot. Pick a spot, right? See, make an intelligent estimate about where to drop that stuff. Will that put out the fire? No, it won't. But it will retard it. When I don't even think people understand this portion of it, but I'm going to explain it to you real quick. You know how they say zero containment? Do you know what containment actually means? Okay, so this is what it means. Containment means that you've been able to make a fire line, okay, or a line of. If you're talking war fighting or anything, containment means that you've been able to make a line around the fire, that you've been able to close a circle around this fire so that this fire cannot move outside the circle. That's called containment, right? And I think in some of these fires, they had 1% of the line drawn. Some of them, they had 4% of the line drawn. Some have like thank God, the Hollywood Hills fire is out. It's just completely out. The Kenneth fire also, I think, is handled. It's contained. It's out. But there's a difference between being out and contained. Okay, so that's what containment means. You cannot make a line around a fire to contain it in 90-mile-an-hour winds. You know why? There is no middle. There's no middle. It's just woo going over here and woo going over there. Oh my God, people are so stupid. Anyway, now they said one of the greatest lies that have been told is that they couldn't fight the fire because they were down $17 million in resources. They cut the budget. Now, it's so interesting that the Doge bag himself, the original one, is saying, I'm going to cut $2 trillion from the United States budget, right? Which is so fascinating to me. But that they are blaming budget cuts, which didn't happen. No, they didn't. For the inability to fight fires in 90-mile-an-hour winds in a urban setting that was designed to have fires fought by fire truck hooking up to hydrant. Okay? All right.
There's also, which I think is particularly the most damaging story, which is that there was $17 million cut from the fire budget. And that's also inaccurate. So last year's budget had an extra $17 million because they bought one-off expenses. These SCBAs for respiratory protection for firefighters and new suits. Those aren't in the new budget because you buy them once every several years. Also, there's an additional $50 million that's been set aside for the fire department. And when they were doing the budget negotiations, it wasn't finished. So that money is coming. There will actually be more money in the fire budget next year.
Oh, more money, not less. Oh, the 17 was one-time expenditure that they spent on respirators and suits, new suits that they buy sporadically. That's where the money went. I mean, honest to God, man, this is just so that you won't pay attention to climate change and to make you hate Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles, and to hate Gavin Newsom, and to hate blue states, and to hate FEMA, and to hate because Donald Trump is so sure that it won't cost any money to take hurricane water from North Carolina, store it, truck it, train it, bring it, make an aqueduct for it, and disperse it in LA. He's so sure that that could be done. In fact, he's like so sure you could do it. Canada should make a pipeline, I'm guessing, that goes from the Canadian mountains to the forests. He's got this, people.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
Due to the magnitude of the disaster, I was talking with the governor. He requested if I could increase the federal funding that was authorized under this legislation from 75% to 90%. We're increasing it to 100%. Of all the costs to be covered by the federal government for both the fire management systems grants and the elements of what they call the disaster declaration. So today I'm announcing that the federal government will cover 100% of the cost for 180 days. This is going to pay for things like debris and hazard material removal, temporary shelters, first responders' salaries, and all necessary measures to protect life and property.
Wow.
And folks, I want to underscore, I told the governor and local officials, spare no expense to do what they need to do and contain these fires and in their communities that have really been devastating.
Now that's a president. That's a president.
Can I get 4 more years of that?
Can't we? I mean, listen, does he have to be, like entertaining? Apparently, yes. And that's the problem. That was it. That was the problem. But... you see a need, and as the president of the United States with awesome, awesome powers, you actually meet it. You meet the need. Sometimes you exceed the need so that the need doesn't get outsized, doesn't get, larger. It's contained. You draw a circle around the need and you meet it.
And he was able to meet the need without telling one lie.
Without a lie.
How about that?
Yeah, and poor Kamala, she's sitting next to him, and I think they're probably not best friends at this point, not besties, but obviously she lives there too. She lives there too. The amount of people that that you've heard of whose houses were destroyed, that's nothing compared to the people you haven't heard of whose houses are destroyed. It's so interesting, but. This is why it seems sort of intentional or believably intentional. Not that there's anything at this moment in time when we're still trying to put out these freaking fires or contain these freaking fires. There's nothing really going on that would suggest that this was intentional, except to look at past his prologue, of past his, guide to the future. Well, I got news for you. A lot of these fires, the line fire, the park fire, the camp fire, those fires, and I wish they wouldn't name them like that. I wish they would name them, like by year or name the area in which they occurred, so that we outsiders would have an easier shot at identifying which one is which. Like the park fire was Chico, California. You know what I mean? Anyway, I digress. Those were intentionally set. You understand? Those fires were set intentionally. And there seems to be, like a love of arson in, the great state of California and other places. And people like to set fires. It's a thing. So do we know whether this was I don't know. But, if you were a person who wanted to get even with liberal Hollywood, with the liberal Hollywood elite, well, you couldn't really do much better than the result that you're seeing here. And it's not just the people that, who are associated with the liberal Hollywood elite, okay? James Woods' house is gone. He's still a climate change denier. It will never, ever happen for him. He will never clear up and have a cleansing moment of clarity. Mel Gibson also, his house was he said he was just shocked at how evenly burnt it was, how completely toasted his house was. These are not liberals. However, the people that you do know, like the Billy Crystals and I don't know what Paris Hilton's politics are. Her little dream house in Malibu, her little Barbie house, that thing was burnt to the ground too. I mean, lots and lots and lots of people, But the people you don't know, the people who live in Altadena, the people who live in Pasadena, the people who live in the Hollywood Hills, these are not the liberal Hollywood elite. Those are the people who make liberal Hollywood go. Those are the people who edit and produce and design sound and stage and, craft services. Those are the people that drive the Hollywood elite, that get them to the set. Right. It's a whole system. It's a whole system. So if you wanted to torch them to send a message, a MAGA message, you really couldn't do any better than that. However, it is my experience that Mother Nature has no politics. Just so you know. The amount of damage that was done to northern Florida, the amount of damage that was done to Fort Myers, these are not liberal bastions in the penis-shaped state of Florida. They are where the nads are. I'm at the tip, they're at the nad, okay? And so there's just a little tiny tip of Florida that has some liberal people living in it. But for the rest of the state, no, not so much. And you look at the damage. Look at North Carolina, okay? They're going, well, that was a very liberal area of North Carolina. It was the liberal bubble. The liberal bubble of North Carolina. But when you look at, the barrier islands, or you look at the houses on stilts in South Texas, those are not liberal bastions, okay? Mother Nature doesn't really tend to have any politics. You know who does, though? The people who respond. So when you see Joe Biden responding in North Carolina, all of a sudden you have to twist the story and say he didn't. You have to say he didn't respond in North Carolina, even though that was a blue bubble in North Carolina. Of course he responded in North Carolina. And of course the governor, who is a Democrat, responded to his state being in great agony and loss, experiencing insane amounts of loss. Of course he did. Ron DeSantis is a Republican governor. Of course he responded to tragedy here in Florida. And of course there was a response in California. Of course there was, by a Democratic governor and a Democratic president. The idea that only Donald Trump thinks this way and now he's the incoming president, that's what you should know. That's what you should know, that this is a completely unique Donald Trump mindset, that Mother Nature has politics. Because he does. Because he does. And I could just see him making states like California trade with him because he's so transactional. Everything's got to be a business deal, including whether or not you help people who have no home, whether or not you help people who fled and left their cars that are just literally melted. Do you see that? I mean, you could see the aluminum from some of the cars laying there in a pool. I mean, it looks like a Terminator. Do you know what I mean? Like the way the Terminator just would melt like that. It looks like that on the side of the road. People had to flee their cars because there was so much traffic getting out because it was so sudden. And yet there were things pre-positioned all over the place. It just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough. But that Donald Trump would say, you trade me your sanctuary city status, L.A. You trade me some immigrants. You hand over some people. Give them to me. And I'll give you some money. I mean, I could just see it. I could just hear him doing it on the phone. Our job is going to be to get him to record this freaking conversation. Not that it matters. We heard him trying to rig an election in Georgia. It was on tape, and nothing happened. Nothing. He attacked the prosecutor, and she can't prosecute anymore because they removed her from the case. Conflict of interest, you know. Like, since when is an office romance a conflict of... Okay, I digress.
He hasn't paid for any of his perfect phone calls. Why would he care about another one?
Right. He's so brazen. He's so emboldened. He's so loud. Elon Musk is, like literally putting it in writing on his platform. Literally, the lies and the apprentice. I mean, what do you call accomplice? The accomplice, Elon is literally putting it in writing. He's like driving the getaway car. It's so sick and frightening that people are going to have to trade away their morals, their beliefs, their ethics, their integrity, all of it, in order to get a president to respond to 180,000 people being without homes, without shelter, without clothes, without cars, without transportation, without anything, with no money, nothing. They literally left their cars and fled. You think they have their passports? You think they have their I guess they have their driver's license. I guess that's what they had. I mean, this is so insane. It's surreal. I mean, the whole thing. When you look at it, listen, my kid went through it. She's there. Okay. She told me the other night when she had to be evacuated. She said it was like The Walking Dead. There were helicopters in the sky, things on fire all around, and she said the tourists were just like kind of walking slow. Everybody else was like, get out, get out, get out. But the tourists were like, oh, look, there's a fire in the hills. Oh, look. She said it was just Walking Dead material.
Clear. Mary had a little lamb.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
The magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Help is on the way.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
All right, so maybe you know, maybe you don't know that last night the Supreme Court refused to intervene in Donald Trump's sentencing that was going to happen this morning. And because they refused to intervene in Donald Trump's sentencing that was going to happen this morning, his sentencing this morning did happen. And here's just less than a minute of Judge Merchan sentencing Donald Trump, who will forever be tainted as a felon, a convicted, sentenced felon.
After careful analysis, in obedience to governing mandates, and pursuant to the rule of law, this court has determined that the only lawful sentence that permits entry of a judgment of conviction without encroaching upon the highest office in the land is an unconditional discharge.
Oh, no.
Which the New York State Legislature has determined is a lawful and permissible sentence for the crime of falsifying business records in the first degree. Therefore, at this time, I impose that sentence to cover all 34 counts Sir, I wish you Godspeed as you assume your second term in office. Thank you.
So let's translate. Nothing. You popped your cherry. Oh, and you did it the right way. You gave him nothing and you told him nothing. Yeah. I wanted the other scene. I wanted the scene where Henry in the back of the car where he takes a handful of pills and goes, now take me to prison. I wanted that one. I didn't get that one. I got this one. So for anybody who gives a rat's ass, yes, he got away with it again. But, you know, he will be branded a felon for the rest of his life. And, hey, America, you should be really, really proud of yourself. You elected a felon to be the president of the United States of America. Yay! Yay, you. Oh, God. All right, so that's where we are. I mean, you know, he's a sentenced felon, and he was whining about how he didn't do. I didn't do. Like, I'm listening to him, you know, whine to Joe Rogan about why don't they have no water? Why don't they have no water? Now I'm listening to going, Alvin Bragg did not want to bring this case. He did not want to bring this case. He whined and cried and moaned like a little baby boy. There was no bravery in any. It was just blaming and whining and complaining. And, oh.
This has been a very terrible experience. I think it's been a tremendous setback for New York and the New York court system.
Oh, God.
This was a case that Alvin Bragg did not want to bring. He thought it was, from what I read and from what I hear, inappropriately handled before he got there. A gentleman from a law firm came in and acted as a district attorney, and that gentleman, from what I heard, was a criminal or almost criminal in what he did. It was very inappropriate. It was somebody involved with my political opponent.
Oh, God.
Part of the records that we're talking about, they're saying, I just noticed where he said I was falsifying business records. Well, the falsification of business records, as they say it, was calling a legal expense in the books where everybody could see them, a legal expense. In other words, that legal fees or legal expense were put down as legal expense by accountants. They weren't put down by me. They were put down by accountants. I didn't call them construction, concrete work. I didn't call them electrical work. I didn't call them any. They called a legal fee or a legal expense. And for this, I got indicted. It's incredible, actually.
I paid off a whore. I paid off one of the girls. I paid off one of the whores. This was, him hiding the payment to Stormy Daniels through his official business records and getting caught 34 times doing it. 34 different, entry. This was Michael Cohen dropping a dime on Donald Trump, and it's the only case that stuck. It's the only one that made it all the way to fruition. Now, the result is piss poor, really. It's so disgusting. And it wouldn't have resulted in this sentence had Donald Trump not been voted for as president of the United States by a majority of the 270 plus electoral college votes, not the majority of the population or anything even near. Now, this was the electoral college selecting Donald Trump, and the Supreme Court last night going, no, we're not going to help you here. Can't do it. What about for old time's sake? Come on, Clarence. Can't do it. I can't do it. Can't have it. So there's that. And otherwise, we now have to depend on this guy to actually follow through and rebuild California. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think that's going to happen on, with federal dollars? Do you think Donald Trump is going to help California, or is he going to trade for California? Is he going to I don't know. I honestly don't know. I will tell you that yesterday there was a whole bunch of foreign leaders, and there was one of the Canadian Green Party members, right, stood up and said, hey, you know what? You got Donald Trump, and we got Canada. So why don't you, California, Oregon, Washington State, why don't you come over here? You know what you get if you come over here? That's right, universal health care. And guess what else you get? That's right. No one carries a gun in Canada without, applying and getting strict scrutiny. Why don't you just come over here? So, the idea that this country is going to get pulled apart because of the mouth on this man, the pie hole that he has, because of the willingness to lie and misdirect and mislead and, trade people's lives for things he wants to show his base that he did. Because this is all about his base. This is all about, what does the base want? Did they want me to bail out California? Do they want me to bail out L.A. and liberal Hollywood? Do they want me to do that? I don't think they do. Some say they do, but I don't hear that. I don't hear that. He doesn't hear that. I heard, he said to the judge in a courtroom, I heard that I didn't do it. I heard I didn't. You said I did, but I heard I did not. This is the Ronald Reagan thing, okay? When Ronald Reagan literally gave tow missiles, traded with the Iranian mullahs, traded tow missiles to Iran to hold the hostages until he was in on January 20th, or at least until, America had voted, and then released them on January 20th, the day he was being inaugurated, to make a big show of it. I mean, that was so in your face. I made a deal. And we talk about the Logan Act. Okay, the Logan Act says that when you're not president, you don't get to do foreign policy with foreign governments. Oh, screw that. I mean, Reagan did. And when he got caught, this was so unbelievable. He said, my heart tells me I didn't do it, but the facts tell me I did. So Donald Trump can't even go that far, okay? He's not even that clever. So he goes, well, I heard I didn't do it. I heard I did not. Here we are. All right. Let me put you on hold. I just went to the phone, and that would have been shortchanging your long hold. She held for about an hour. So we'll do Maria, Corey, and then I see Brother David on the line. So if you wanna weigh in on this fifth day of the new 2025 year of this show, then just dial us up 570
270-3844.
Oh, 270. Yeah, I never call myself. I don't even know. And it's not in my contacts, so I can't even ask Siri.
561, by the way. 561-270.
270.
3844.
3844. 561-270-3844. Okay, there it is. There it is. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. Are we going to make it through this? I mean, you will. You will. Will I? That's the question.
All things Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Oh, there it is. 561-270-3844. There it is. I saw it. Ooh, there it goes. All right. Maria.
Yes, thank you. It's a privilege speaking with you.
I know.
They say that bright minds think alike. I was telling
Brett.
I got Brett about my theory from the beginning. How convenient that they had predicted the Santa Ana's coming up, and all of a sudden they took off. And not just that, but my theory has always been that Republicans or people vote for Republicans either because they're filthy rich or because they're stupid. That's the only reason they vote for them. That's always been my theory. I'm sorry for my poor English.
What's wrong with your English?
In Mexico. Well, I sometimes stutter or get nervous, and it's not that great. And
Está bien.
I wanted to wish you an early birthday. We're almost twins. My birthday's on the 29th and yours is on the 28th. So happy birthday.
Oh, feliz.
And my best to Jessica. I also had 3 of my relatives had to evacuate on Tuesday night because of they live in Pasadena, Altadena, and Monrovia. So
yeah, it's horrible. I mean, this is just it's unconscionable. But what in the world is making everybody think that somehow this was done on purpose?
To punish our blue state because of our governor and because we don't pledge to we don't kiss his feet.
Yeah.
Because he's going to try to hold federal aid to once he gets into the presidency. He's going to try to punish us.
I hope not.
Or the people that lost their home.
I hope not. I hope that is not. I hope that is not a thing. I hope that is not how vindictive he actually is.
But you have to consider the source. That's what my thinking is. You know how he's always been saying that he's going to go after he's going to try to punish his enemies and all this. So yeah. I see our state as being one. And like I said, I hope not, but I just don't put it past him. And I also wanted to ask, in the history books, his name going to come up as 47th U.S. president, parentheses, what is it, Felon?
Yeah.
Under his name?
Yeah. It should, absolutely. It should.
Right.
Yes, it should.
But
absolutely.
Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for keeping us informed.
Okay, totally.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye. She didn't hear a word. She was so nervous. But yeah, it's okay. So, when he dies, it will be in his obit. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's like, God help us all. But when, Bill Clinton passes, it will say Bill Clinton impeached 42nd president of the United States. It will. And so when, the Orange Jesus dies, it's going to say, twice impeached felon. It will.
Yeah, I mean, it seems bleak now. Hopefully democracy will endure. And hopefully 100 years from now, he will simply be the answer to a trivia question. Who's the only U.S. president to be elected as a felon? And hopefully that's all it will be.
And he could also be the answer to who is the worst president in the history of the United States. And that takes some doing. It really does. We have had people that did Indian removal. Okay, Andrew Jackson. I think this is who Donald Trump had a portrait of in his old Oval Office, okay, as 45. He loved that whole, thing about removing people. And, he's going to remove people. And I honestly want you to understand. I know Maria does. I know people in California do. I know people in North Carolina understand it now. People in Florida have always understood it. People in Texas, in, like Hurricane Harvey areas in Houston, they know it. They know it. They intellectually know it. Some of them don't want to say it out loud. Some of them don't want to admit it. They don't want it to become apparent to them, their own damn selves. But who rebuilds? Who clears out? Who does the debris cleanup? Who does that? That's right, immigrants. And who does the building, the construction of the new homes that have to go back up so people can be housed again? They can have homes again. That's right, immigrants. 40% of our construction industry nationwide is composed of immigrants. Most of them Mexicans. Yes, so people are very familiar with Mexican, craftsmanship. Just the way that we were very familiar with Italian craftsmanship. And then Irish law enforcement, okay? People, we have very short memories, but to just point out who's going to have to do the rebuilding and who's going to have to do the debris cleanup, who's going to have to do everything from the drywall at the end to the foundation laying and the debris cleanup at the beginning. It's going to be immigrants. And you know who knows that? Everyone. California knows it. And so if you start deporting all these people, that would be pouring salt on the wound, if you must, if you will, if you may, for lack of another rhetorical device. That's what that would be. That's adding insult to the injury, literally saying, you dumb bastards, I'm in charge now. You were injured? I don't care. I don't care. So I hope he's not that vindictive, meaning, if it's a blue state, you don't get help, and if it's a red state, you do. Although I know he loved that idea in Hurricane Maria. There was no doubt about it. There was just no two ways about it. That he would go to his base and throw paper towels at them, they would shoot him. They would. Brother David.
Sister, quote, happy, unquote, New Year.
Yeah, right. I'll play along. Go ahead.
I get home from the Matilda the musical auditions on Tuesday night, and my phone was off because I was running the audition. 42 text messages, and my voicemail was full. And I literally, this morning at about 4 o'clock, finally got some sleep. As you know, Southern California is my adopted home from 1978 to 2016.
Yeah, when I met you, you lived in L.A.
I did.
Yeah.
And I have been constantly on my laptop and my phone. And what everybody is telling me is that as horrible as what you're seeing on the news is, it's nothing compared to what really is. It's like what Jessica told you.
Yeah.
It's been apocalyptic. Now, and hands haven't stopped moving to the desert in Palm Springs and Canyon Country and Hot Springs. It's the
You're breaking up, David. You're breaking up really badly. Yeah.
Their garage.
I'm going to put him on hold and see if you can tell him how badly
it's because of the polar vortex.
Breaking up. Okay. Corey in California.
Hey, Randy.
Hey, Corey.
So I just called because I keep hearing people say, Mayor Bass,
right.
what she needs to do. And what everybody forgets is that L.A. is massive, and when they say L.A., they don't mean necessarily the city, because she's over the city, and these fires aren't in the city. They're in, Palisades.
They're in the county.
Actually, yeah, they're a county. Palisades, they rely on L.A. for their firefighters, but they do their own infrastructure.
Yeah.
Altadena, they're all on their own. So it's like, quit blaming her for something she has no control over.
Right.
Is pretty much what I want.
Quit blaming her when the her should be Mother Nature, okay?
Exactly.
Not the mayor of the city of Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a county and a city. New York is a state and a city. You see what I mean? I hope that can, compute for some people who don't live there.
Clear. Call in, connect. To speak to Randy, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
All right. Let's try again, brother.
How is it, sister? Is that
Good.
better?
Much better, yes.
Well, it's because we're in the polar vortex. Oh, that's going on all this time, too.
I heard
So
you say polar vortex, but I didn't know what you were referring to.
That's what I was referring to. What they're all telling us, my friends, because I literally, like I said, I think I've operated on 6 hours sleep aggregate since tonight.
Everybody's exhausted. Everybody is, really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is that it's actually even worse than what TV is showing. And now the Santa Anas, which haven't died down, they're just bouncing whichever way they want, have reached the low desert. And so your Palm Springs and your Desert Hot Springs and your Canyon, et cetera, they're like a hurricane without water, and people are waking up with palm trees slammed through their garage doors.
Oh, God.
But climate change is a myth, sister.
Hey, wait till Monday. This is what I saw in the weather forecast, and I don't want to freak everybody out, but I figure, if you're in L.A. and you're affected in this area, you're not listening to me today, okay? You're listening to the Weather Channel or somebody else.
Well, of course.
Right, and that's fine. But I heard that Monday, the Santa Anas in that area of Los Angeles kicks back up. So they have a very finite period, a window, if you will, to put these fires, not just to contain them, but to get the embers buried. I was watching some guy, how did you draw the short straw for this gig? He's got to drive the bulldozer into the ash pile and put the ashes underneath the ground so that the embers can't fly on Monday, starting this whole cycle again.
Exactly. And that's what I meant about the low desert. It's just going to bounce it back after it's done. It's a different kind of dash there. And LA is, once again, a tinderbox. I can't tell you what has warmed my heart is seeing with the animal shelters and the evacuation centers, et cetera, the town is reaching out to each other.
Can I brag just a tad? Can I just
about Jessica?
Yes.
Please do.
So you know what my child did yesterday? I got goosebumps. Really, this is very hard for me to even not cry. So she was evacuated, and she decided that she owed every good feeling she had about being somehow
There.
protected, right, to the fire department. So she went to the grocery store and she bought a whole bunch of bread bowls and fruit and stuff like that. And she brought it to her firehouse in her neighborhood. And they were so blown away by that because people are blaming them because of the disinformation and the misinformation and the blame game that's going on the social media. They were like, "Oh my God, you know, that just,
it's beautiful.
I was so
and
proud.
Apple Tree,
I was
that's
so
your
proud.
kid, Randy.
That's mine.
Exactly should
That's
be.
Mine. That's mine.
Brother David's giving her a great big high five in the air right now for that.
I know.
This is what we as citizens have to do for the conceivable future in our local, in our whatever. We're going to have to be there for each other.
We are, because we lost, a place that was, very tight knit. That was very, like, everybody knew everybody, and yeah, I mean, that's what a neighborhood is. That's what a community is. That's what America used to be like, right? For those people who haven't gotten out of their mother's basement yet, haven't launched. That's what America used to be. Okay, it used to be a place where you knew your butcher, you knew your baker, you knew your mailman. You know,
and it wasn't all apps and phones, and that was your only communication with the outside world.
Right.
It was actually other people.
Humans.
The social
and
construct.
Things. Yeah. It was humans that you spoke to, like real ones, not robots and not screens and not phones. It was actual people. And so when you went into make your deli order, they knew what it was.
They knew what it was because they see you every week or however.
Yeah. Well, it ain't like that anymore.
Well,
except in some places, and this was one of those places that still had that American, sort of a neighborhood feel, and now it's gone, and now it's just it's ashes.
I used to live in Altadena. Just looking at overhead map of Pacific Palisades and reminding myself that it is slightly larger in acreage than the island of Manhattan.
Oh yeah, no, it's twice.
And it's apocalyptic.
45 square miles is 2 times Manhattan. Okay.
Thank you. That's my point.
Yeah. So yeah, and I know people that live in Pasadena, and I was watching television. I don't even want to say this, and while the reporter was reporting, houses behind the reporter just burst into flames, and I'm hoping to God that is not whose house I think it is.
Same here.
Yeah.
And I want to say something about the people that are yelling about how all the celebrities, they can rebuild their homes. Fire does not discriminate. And nobody deserves, quote unquote, to have their neighborhood gone up there. I have a friend who's a music director, and he and his wife were out on a gig when this broke. And their kids were there, and he texted them, said, "Get out, get the dogs out." And he came back, and 40 years of a career, all of his music, all of his synthesizers, everything gone. It's gone.
Well, so the
and
theory
multiply
here,
that by thousands of people at whatever level of income they're at.
Right. And when I listen to some of these lunatic, fringy people, people who are famous for telling lies and people who are famous for being, completely out of touch with reality. Like Alex Jones, you know what he said? He said the fires were spread by design as part of a globalist plot to wage economic warfare. Okay, so what he's saying is the libs were obsessed with burning down the house of Mel Gibson and James Woods, and the collateral damage was 10,000 other houses. They're so sick. They're so sick. And people, literally millions of people listen to that. I don't get it.
Well, we're still here, sister.
I know.
And there are still more of us.
There are.
And gorgeous girdles for many of us, if not for just a few.
Yeah, thanks.
I love you always.
I love you too. Very much. Thank you. Bye. Ricky in New Mexico.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
I've been listening to you since the Air America days.
Yeah, a little while.
Yeah, first time, long time.
Oh, wow. Hey.
Thank you. That is such a privilege.
Pop to cherry.
I could talk to you forever, but the biggest thing I was going to bring up is, with this conviction with Trump, and I don't mean to distract from the
No, it's fine. Whatever you want.
Okay, so
I think they're connected because Trump is going to be in charge of recovery efforts, and it's going to be a multi-year recovery effort. So, he's definitely in this mix. So go ahead.
There might be something interconnected there, but one of my biggest ponderings has been with these felony convictions and stuff. And I just want to know what you would theorize about in terms of like foreign policy, like what countries is he going to be allowed to go to, or do you know if any of these dignitaries are going to placate to him, or he can't go to Canada. Am I correct?
Well, there's such a thing called diplomatic immunity.
True.
And I think that's kind of how this will roll, this will play, that he's the president and he's covered with diplomatic immunity, and so the felony thing. But you're right, in essence, that if you or me were a felon and we went across the border and they ran our names and we came up as being, convicted of a felony, whether we had served time or not, we wouldn't be allowed in.
No, we wouldn't. I couldn't go to Canada if I was a felon.
That's right. Yeah, I do know. And that's right. That's 100% right. But I think being the president, diplomatic immunity attaches. That's my thought.
It's the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring. We're going to try and have a policy where no windmills are being built. The windmills are driving the whales crazy, obviously. When you buy a faucet, no water comes out because they want to preserve. Even in areas that have so much water, you don't know what to do. It's called rain. It comes down from heaven. And they want to do no water comes out of the shower. It goes drip, drip, drip. So what happens? You're in the shower 10 times as long.
We got this guy. We used to have this guy. This one.
Due to the magnitude of the disaster, I was talking with the governor. He requested if I could increase the federal funding that was authorized under this legislation from 75% to 90%. We're increasing it to 100% of all the costs to be covered by the federal government.
Now we got this guy, okay? We got a guy who, thinks windmills are driving whales crazy and that the water comes from heaven. The water comes from heaven. Somebody needs to show him a cloud, like a cumulus nimbus cloud would be a good one to start. And show him where rain comes from. And then he could talk to his engineering friend, over there, the one that wants us all to move to Mars so we could all be, what is that movie where Total Recall? So we could all live in the dome where we pay for air. And if you don't pay, you don't get any air. I mean... Oh, God, you could. I mean, those were old Arnold Schwarzenegger movies where Sharon Stone was a bit player, okay?
I'll see you at the party, Richter.
I mean, it's like Sharon Stone was a bit actor. She was just a tiny little part at the beginning. That's how old the movie is. That's how, ancient a story that was. And now we're in it. We're living it. God help us if we get to Matrix territory. Maybe this is why they want us all attached to the babies, the dead babies. Oh, God. Sorry. But, yeah, I can't believe we got this guy for the next at least 2 years. I don't know. I just honestly do not know whether or not, people are going to be able to count on their tax dollars supporting a government that in turn supports them or a civil society at the very least. Because, the old saying that taxes are the price you pay for a civilized society. Well, I don't know if even that's going to play. I don't even know if that's going to, when you got these freaks of nature who have this evil nature where they are rooting for the worst and actually taking steps to make that worst case scenario real. Like we should all go to Mars because the Earth's become inhabitable, or we should crash the economy so Bitcoin becomes a real currency, or you got a guy who obviously wants oil and gas money and nothing else to, he wants to subsidize the oil and gas business as a sort of an oligarchical exchange where the oil companies pay him and then in turn he subsidizes them. You know what I mean? You pat my back, I pat yours, kind of a thing. I don't even know if we can count on having any sort of a safety net, any sort of a government, any sort of decency, any sort of civil society. I just don't know. I don't know. I mean, part of me is like interested in seeing, but I don't want to see it like up close and personal. I want to read about it. I don't want to experience. I want to read about it. I want to read about it in history books. I want to read about it in the dustbin of history. I want to read about it as, oh, wow, oh, snap, that happened. You know what I mean? Like the Civil War. I just never, ever, ever had a desire to live through it. I just never did. I never read anything about the Civil War and thought, oh, it must have been great to be alive then. Or I wish I were alive then. Or what would I have done if I were alive then? I never. Never. And now we're going to actually experience something not American, something different, something that has nothing to do with America, that has nothing to do with this country or its values or why we strive to build back better or why we strive to, build it up or why we strive to, keep on telling ourselves that, an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere, or that if one person is unfree, then none of us are free. Like these kinds of things that should guide normal American minds and lives and endeavors and hopes and dreams, like that should be your guiding light, your North Star, your principle should be based in one of those ideas. Okay, you pick an egalitarian idea, and you know what I mean, because that's what America is. It's an experiment. It's in progress. It keeps going. It takes 4 steps forward and 2 steps back. But we've just taken away women's rights, and nary a person is, up in arms. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, women are literally dying in parking lots and ballots. We just don't hear about it anymore. We just don't. And if you think we're not hearing about it now, you're not going to hear a word, not a peep, nothing. Idaho is trying to outlaw gay marriage now. Idaho. I mean, they introduced legislation to say gay marriage is not something that Idaho recognizes. They're going to come after every single solitary small group of people who are just trying to do their very best to live a decent life, to have a life that has some love, some exchange, some children, maybe a pet in it. Unmolested. But they don't want, they're like, they're going to go after the minutia and say, this is who we blame for everything. Everything. Just like they're doing with this fire. Just like they're, okay. Some people say, can we do that? I don't think it's good or right, but I'll do it. Some people say that Donald Trump is looking for any disease at all in the world, anywhere in any corner of any country right now, whether it's dengue or malaria or anything. It doesn't matter. Yellow fever, avian flu, whatever, to close the border. He's just looking. He's going to invent something to close the border. And most Americans, they'll be okay with it. They'll be fine with the made-up disease. They'll be fine with the lie about you being, having exposure to diseased people. They'll be fine with it. And I, like I said, I have no desire to live through that or to talk to people who will repeat that to me. Oh, he's only protecting us from the dengue. I could hear it already. I can hear it. He's looking for anything at all. Anything. Oh, he's going to be. It's only day 5. All right. Dean in LA.
Randi, good afternoon.
Hello.
Welcome to the beautiful, now it's a bone-chilling 80-something degrees.
Where? Where you are?
I was 3 miles southwest of the Eaton fire. Inland, so basically right near the Rose Bowl. I don't know if anybody can
Pasadena, yeah,
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what's really just baffles me is that people would actually think, oh, come on, we have fires all the time. I've lived here for 20 years. Never in my life have I had what looked like I had my face hanging over a barbecue for 4 straight days.
Yeah.
I have my 5 cat carriers set and ready to go. A go bag, the wind.
I should have done a show and asked people what's in your go bag. What's in yours?
What's in my toiletries, a pair of jeans, a pair of shoes, my change of underwear because hey, why not? And that's about it. Then some snacks and a small flask of whiskey because heck, I was ready to just you know what? I need a rest. I slept about 3 hours the first night. The wind was insane.
Insane.
So when you have all that, and you got these people who are like, oh my God, I did a spit take when Elon Musk was like, if it weren't for Democrats, this wouldn't have happened. There's a Democrat out there right now, 20 years later, 20 years ago, he was going like, yeah, guys, if you'd only listen to me, we wouldn't be in this mess. Yeah, not nearly as bad, obviously, but oh my God, I'm lucky I have my place. I'm safe.
I hear you. I'm happy you're safe, and I really, and for those people that are safe, I understand that that's just a small part of it. I get it. We've been through hell here too with natural disasters. Just don't let them blame anybody but Mother Nature.